Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Working in Hockey podcast. My name's Nick Bones. I've got Lukas with me here, fresh off the Wish Cup. And Lukas, I'm going to let you introduce today's special guest.
Yeah, for sure. So we do have a very special guest, like Nick said, someone who has had impact on my career in hockey, for sure, and I'm sure many others. And so he's held multitude of positions, about 2 decades now within sports marketing, well over a decade within hockey specific marketing, and currently is the vice president of global marketing at CCM Hockey. So I would like to introduce Robert Zaring.
Thank you. Thank you for those nice words there, Lukas. And
Of
also
course.
thank you to you, Nick, to have me on board here. Now, happy to be here and to share a little bit my experience and also a little bit about CCM and how we are working today, and what we can offer in the marketplace. And also, as I said, it's like a great podcast, and I like what you're doing on social media, right? To post all the jobs in the best sporting goods industry in the world, right? So
Yeah.
good job of you guys pushing that through.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you very much. And I think the best way to kind of kick things off here would be telling the listeners what you do at CCM and kind of what your day to day looks like.
So my name is Robert Zaring. I'm the vice president of global marketing. And my history is with the company. I've been here 12 years now. I'm from Sweden. You might hear that on my accent, but I'm based in Montreal since 5 years back, and leading our global marketing team. Within our marketing organizations, we have different departments, right? We have the sports marketing, that everyone probably believe is the most fun one. It's where we take care of all our partnerships with all our players that is representing our brands. We have the brand team that is creating all our brand messages and also our creative direction. Within there, we have our social team, our creative team, and also what we do for our website with our digital team. Then we have the trade marketing, taking care of everything that is happening in stores, right? Or together with our retailers. End of the day, we are selling hockey products. It's so fun to talk about what we're doing when it comes to the creative side, right? But we need to sell products and we need to grow the game and so on. And then part of the organization, we have one marketing team sitting in US, there is the base in Boston, and we have one marketing team in Stockholm or in Solna, so Stockholm taking care of Europe. So it's like three different divisions within the marketing department.
Very cool, very cool. And you touched on it a little bit there, being a global company, obviously global marketing in your title there, experience in Sweden, in Europe, and now in Canada. How does the team's approach differ from, say, marketing in Canada to the US to Europe? You guys are obviously doing a lot with the international events, but how does it differ country to country?
But I believe that the team that is sitting in our headquarters in Montreal, there is more the creative side, right? The strategic direction, while the teams in Europe and US is more executional. They take care of like what they have as a global strategic direction. They bring it locally and localize what we are doing, right? So we are trying to be as relevant as possible. Then you cannot speak the same language and have the same stars in Stockholm or Helsinki or in Boston, right? Because hockey is very local. Even if we have our big global stars that is influencing globally, it's very local. If you come to even into Canada, it's hard to marketing in the stores in Montreal with the Leafs guy that is playing in Ontario, right? So there is very need to be relevant as a brand, and I think it comes very down to that in hockey, and especially with the local teams. So the teams is very much influencing the local business, I would say, and we see that all over the place, honestly. But then you have some stars or some assets like Conor McDavid, the best player in the world, right? He's influencing everywhere. That's the thing. But he's very few of those out there today. There's influencing on a global level, and we have the opportunity to work with some of them. Is Conor McDavid, is Crosby. You can see Matthews is a global star, but maybe not reference so much back in Montreal, for example, where you had the rivalry between the different teams.
Yeah.
I think probably that's the biggest difference from like global headquarters down to the local ones.
Yeah, for sure. And you kind of touched on it there as well, but with the global growth of hockey, perhaps even more topical and intriguing is the evolution of women's hockey right now, from CCM's FTW product line collaborations like CCM with Aaron Ambrose that we just launched. how much has the women's hockey landscape shifted and grown over the past few years, and how has CCM gone about kind of navigating and leaning into marketing through the women's game?
But I think hockey, it's a very traditional sport, right? It's been around for a very long time. With that tradition, it's also then that you need to challenge the status quo if you like to grow. And I think they have so big opportunities to grow the game, and that will come with girls and in women hockey for sure. And we see in percentage that is the biggest increase today if you look into Canada, US, but also in Sweden and Czech Republic in percentages growth, but from a smaller base. But if we would like to be a global relevant sport for the family, we need to attract the whole family. And I think that is and that's the task for us as a brand or together with our competitors, right? But also together with the leagues and with everyone to really grow the game. In of the game, I said it before, we are selling products, right? We need to make sure that we have more a bigger base of players to start with, and also to keep them motivated to stay in the sport, right? And we can see that I worked with Adidas before I came on board with CCM, and there we had the same discussions like 20 years ago within soccer, right? But it was not until you had like the big teams in Europe like Chelsea and Barcelona and so starting to invest in that one, you saw that increase. But that took like 15 years to get those on board, and then you see the explosion in women's soccer today where they are selling out arenas. Now we are starting to see it a little bit with the PWHL in Canada. They're selling out arenas, and there's an interest in the very much traditional hockey regions, right? But I believe the expansion of the league now over to the West Coast to Vancouver, Seattle, that maybe not have that tradition in hockey, is going to be interesting to see if they cannot start that one. And women hockey, especially on the US side, is very popular. You see that especially on the West Coast in basketball and in baseball. So I hope we have that trend coming because we need to motivate more girls into our sport and keep also the guys interested, right? Super important for us to grow the game. Part of that one, as you said, we just launched our collab with Erin Ambrose. We did her apparel collection, right? And of course, that's how we try to build that superstars. Maybe not superstar, but we would like to build stars that can inspire those girls. Because I think it's like for us, it's so much about to inspire the next generation, and especially not used to the sport itself, right? You maybe not have been there, and you don't grow up with hockey like natural, like maybe guys that have brothers playing as one. I think it's up to us as a brand and to build those idols that the girls can look up to. And within hockey today, I think we have a lot of things to do, especially in women hockey. But I think you have some good ambassadors. This Erin is great. We work with Sarah Nurse, right? Probably the most famous face outside the rink, I would say today. And with her now moving over to the West Coast, that's going to grow hockey and the interest over there. So I believe that is how you grow it, right? Not just stay in your traditional markets.
No, it's super interesting, and I think the PWHL is only going to continue growing and expanding. And like you said, I'm very interested to see how the Western teams do with some of the new faces and players that they've got here. But you touched on the FTW line there. When it comes to, like you said, you're selling a product, you're marketing a product. Tangibly, how different do you have to approach selling a women's product or a women's stick versus the men's stick that you've been selling for years and maybe the women were using previously? I think it's super fascinating and obviously a great thing that you guys were able to launch that FTW line.
Yeah, and we are proud to be the first brand out, right? To have a top-to-toe line, and you will see what is coming later this year. We're also launching a women's-specific helmet. We just teased it at the World Championship and the women's-specific skate, right? So now we are really top-to-toe. But there is also a decision we took probably 3.5 years ago when we said, if you'd like to be real with women hockey, we need to start in the locker room to provide them the same support or equal support as the guys are getting. We need to make sure they have the best products. Very often you can sit in a TV studio or in a conference room and say we are focusing on women, and you just talk about it. But we said let's do it. And then we involved all the girls. I was myself at a meeting with Kendall Coyne, and she said I was cutting my elbow pads because they're too long. And of course, women have shorter arms. Pretty basic things. But that was 3 years ago, and now we launched it during last year, right? And we really made a lot of effort to develop the perfect women line. and is then based on the physicality of a women body, right? So we did it from the scratch, and I believe that is going to be a or is already is a game changer, and but we did a lot of effort also to sell it in to our retailers, to our sales force to start with, to go out and sell it, and also to our retailers to really give us space in store. But they did, and we some of the biggest chains in Canada reordered 3 times because they sold out. Yeah, and it's been a great success for us as a brand, and to be the first one out there, we are super proud of that one. And I think that is also how you lead, but also then, as I said, give the same support. But the equal support is very important because they need to feel they're supported by the big brands. And if you look into like brands like Nike and so on, they did it years ago, and now we are there with hockey. But I hope our competition is coming with us on this journey, right? Because we need everyone on board on this if we like to grow the sport together.
Yeah, for sure. That's a great point. Another thing great that CCM has done over the past few years and that been lucky enough to be a part of is hosting the CCM Hockey House. So from Toronto to Boston to Montreal and now Stockholm. Can you tell us a little bit about the strategy behind creating these awesome like destination events?
It's because you're gonna wear that nice hockey house hat you're having on there. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the thing. No, but when we talk about hockey is being a very traditional sport, right? We as a brand we need to create those unique experience for our followers and our consumers. It's one thing to drive awareness, right, and get more players or fans to love your brand because it comes with brand love, and you start that one early. If you're able to get consumers or players loving your brand, they're going to stay with you until you screw it up with them, right? So we said, let's do something that no one has done before. Let's create an experience in the biggest hockey markets in the world. So we did Toronto, where I met you both for the first time some years back. Then we went to Boston. We brought it to Montreal this spring, and we did it in Stockholm then last month. And it's about to create an experience that no one else has been offering, and also that the consumers can then explore your products, but explore also the brand itself with a unique touch. So all of the different hockey house has been in different concepts. I would say we had this luxury house in York, North York, there in Toronto, right, with a perfect backyard rink. We were in Boston, had a similar experience, but in a different house experience. In Montreal, we took over a school with the biggest outdoor rink in the area in February. It was minus 25 degrees when we played outdoor games. In Stockholm, we went to a factory building and did an experience in there, right? So everyone is different, but you also get everyone that is coming there because, as I said before, it's very community driven hockey, right? With your local teams. So everyone that comes there will probably go home and tell 5 of their friends that are going to tell another 5 of their friends, and that's how you build that awareness. Because awareness is, as you know, is so much on social media today. But I believe you need to be where the consumers are all the time. It's like a 360. You need to be relevant in their phones, but in the community as much as in the stores and in their local clubs. I think when you reach all of those touch points at the same time, then you will be the most successful brand out there and drive that brand love as I talked about.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I think, especially on the kind of 360 approach there, kind of takes me into my next question, Robert. Of you guys have done a lot of great work with creators, personalities. You touched on, the Aaron Ambrose collection. How do you guys go about kind of building, fostering those meaningful partnerships and relationships? I think, not to name names, but a lot of smaller brands in the sports industry, you can tell when something's kind of pay to play, pay a creator to say this or wear this hat like I'm doing here, whatever it is, right? You guys have a lot of those longer term kind of meaningful relationships with players, creators. How do you go about it?
No, but I think when it comes to the creators, right, you would like to create a partnership, as you said. You would like to be a partner with them, right? I think that the time when you just go and pay someone else to post about you, then it's not real. And I believe the consumers look through that much more now than maybe when it started, like 5 6 years ago. They will look through that one. So we are not in there for like overpaying someone else. If you like to work with someone, it needs to be someone that have the same values as us, and it's a great personality. Because I think on social today, as a creator, you are creating your own personality, and that one needs to be linked with CCM values to be, be about respect and teamwork, and it's about hockey or hard working and these kind of things. So I believe that is how you work with creators today. uh, Creators might also come and go. They have their own identity, right? They come and go. And when we talk about creators, our hockey players on the ice is our creators also, right? It's not only the social ones that is related to hockey, but we have the Conor McDavid or the Matthews, right? They are creating hockey every night on TV, so they're also creating that brand experience or credibility for our products. I think you have them both. But when we talk about partnership, it's also we work very closely with some of the biggest federations in the world, associations with USA Hockey USA, or with the Swedish Hockey Organization and Finland and Czech and so on. There's also where we create partnership to grow the game. We talk about to build a platform for the future. There's a lot of recruitment going on in those organizations, and that's why we also it's a tight partner with them.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even just to touch on the creator, obviously that's something that I work closely with and help out with at CCM. And for me, I think when looking at creators specifically, it's about honestly even finding people that already have some sort of relationship or truly love the product, right? Because at the end of the day, I don't want to work with someone if it's someone who doesn't truly love what we're providing and love the product, because then it's just not authentic. And like you said, nowadays it's easier than ever to see that shine through the content.
Yeah, and I think you're spot on it there. But to make it authentic, right? It's like it's not gonna help if we throw a lot of money on a pro player today if you don't like our products. That's the thing. That's why we also need to build that relationship when they are very young, right? So they start with our products, because then they will grow with us. And for me, that to have someone that is representing your brand, because that is what the creators are doing. They're representing who we are. Then they need to be have the same values as us. Otherwise, it will not be authentic or real.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, marketing in sports has changed a lot over the years. Like when you started, it was more traditional TV, print, retail, but now there's such a heavy focus on these creators and social media and non-traditional channels. How different does it feel compared to when you first got into the industry? And has it been challenging at all at certain points to adapt or to things that you may be not used to?
Yeah, but when I started at CCM 12 years back in Sweden, I came from Adidas then, right? And had 10 years with Adidas before I was down working in Germany. Very traditional company, come home. So 12 years, then it was when social media started, like Instagram. I was presenting for the sales team in Sweden, and also the all our distributor globally, right? That I wanted everyone to start an Instagram account. And they're like, "What is that?" Like Insta, what is it? It's like it was new. And then you know what happened after that one with Snapchat and TikTok. It's like it's developing. So of course you need to be on top of things. Everyone was like, "Oh, it's so super easy now with social media because everyone is on the different platforms, right?" But back in the days, you were buying a TV campaign and you had the same ad in TV, print, and out of home. It looked the same.
Yeah.
Today you can really customize your messaging depending on what platforms you are on. But it was the same back in those days, right? You were reading a magazine, you were watching TV. This was the same, but now the consumers is moving so quickly versus before. So you need to be more on top of those new channels or platforms they are moving into. But I think that is also why you need to have a young team that is able to navigate those new platforms. So it's like I'm probably too old to even talk about this one, right? But you try to be on top of it, but you also then put a team together that understands our consumer. And I don't know that you don't need to be a hockey player to work for CCM, but it will make it much easier to understand how they are be growing up and so on. But there I believe I tried to go to myself. I was a young hockey player when I was growing up. I was playing hockey, right? And then I worked at the sports store for a while. So I was selling hockey products. And today I'm a dad myself, and it's tying hockey skates on my daughter, right? And by doing that one, you also was following the consumer journey within there. I think
Yeah.
that keeps you on top of things. And if you can relate to those things during your lifetime, it's easier also to marketing the products or developing the products you are doing. So then you're closer to the where the consumers are.
Yeah, that's very well said. And I think, talking to a lot of college students or recent graduates through working in hockey, I think a lot of times when people hear marketing, they just think about social media. And I think it's important and interesting to hear you talk about, how many different avenues there are in marketing and all the different touch points and that 360 approach. But from your career there, Robert, you've been with CCM, like you said, well over a decade now. That's rare in today's day and age to kind of have that longevity and career, and similar at Adidas there for you. What stands out about CCM? What is it about the brand, the culture, the initiative, the story behind it that has interested you and kind of been able to grow that role for so long?
Yeah, but I think it's like to have a passion for what you're doing every day. I think that's the key. I before I worked with Adidas, now I'm talking about my history, right? But I worked with Coca-Cola. So I had Coca-Cola, then I was with Adidas, and then CCM. So it's big global brands. But I worked with Coke. It was a cool brand to work with, right? But the product itself, it was a soft drink in different sizes and different flavors, right? And for me, that was not enough. I had so much passion for sports, growing up doing sports my whole life and watching sports and be a fan and so on. So it's like to keep that passion for what you're doing. If you have a passion for something and you can create it your job, I think that is a big win. And you can work with your passion. Is that good all the time? Maybe ask my wife, and she would say probably no, because you're into it all the time. And when I watch a hockey game today, or when I were at Adidas watching a soccer game, I'm more watching what the skates or cleats they're using. Right? It's part of your job. But of course, it's a dream to do that, though. To work with what you really love. But then the brand itself, with CCM, to be working with the most authentic hockey brand. We turned 125 years last year, right? Based in Montreal. In Montreal, that is everything is hockey here. But I can still relate that one to the so where I'm coming from. Also coming from a hockey town back in Sweden. If I meet my colleagues in Prague, that is like working with the Sparta Prague in Czech Republic, right? It's the same thing. Those are the hockey cities. You have some of them out there. So I think that's just a privilege to be able to do that. Then, of course, not every Monday morning is fun to go to the office, right? That's the thing. That is it is a base of everything, but I think if you're going to be successful, try to find something you have a passion for. It's easy to say, but I think if you work hard, you will probably find it. And when you're getting there, do your best every day and try to develop, and treat people well, because that's the thing. You take care of yourself and you take care of others, and that will take you long in your career.
Yeah, no, I think that's very well said. And I mean, I think it is easier said than done in terms of like doing something you're passionate about and turning it into a job. But at the same time, like it isn't, right? Like it's like if you're just continuously working at something you're passionate about, eventually, whether that takes a couple months to a couple years, like it will work out. And I think that's something that people often don't give the time necessary to do. They'll try something that they're really passionate about for maybe a month or two, and then, oh, this isn't working. I'm going to just go to that job that maybe I don't love, and I think that speaks volumes. So, I mean, to wrap this up, we always would love to give some career advice. So, for anyone like hoping to work in sports, or maybe even at a company like CCM, what's one piece of career advice you would share additionally that would help them?
But I think if I look into my journey, I never thought when I was growing up I'm going to be a vice president for a big global brand, right? I never had that. Of course, I want to do a career, but I need to have that like a dream. But I think to be able to make it, I think you need to be open minded. You need to be open minded and test different things. If I would have said because when I recruit today, someone's like, no, I'm from Detroit. I'd like to stay here my whole life. You are very limited in what you can do in your career, right? That's the thing. And maybe you don't hire that person. There's nothing wrong to stay in Detroit the whole life, but maybe that's not part of, that you're open minded and would like to test and do different things. So I think it's like to be open minded. And as you said, have a little bit patient. I was very impatient myself, but I think it's like, it's not the end of the world if you do another year in a row before jumping on the next one. If you do a good job, and as I said, treat people well, your time will come. Because it's about timing also when you get those offers. But you don't get them by, okay, I've been in my role now for 2 years. Now I need to have a manager role or a director title. don't chase titles. It's like if you don't chase titles, I've never done it. They will come to you if you do that good job and have the passion of what you're doing. So I think it's like be a bit more patient. And I know the new generation, as you guys, you're very impatient, like have things happening directly, right? And I believe also that social media is probably helping to speed that one up. A lot of people probably have that career steps need to happen that year, and but then I think you get disappointed instead and might take the wrong decisions while you're changing company or changing your role. Stay where you have the passion. That will bring you a long way, I would say.
That's awesome advice, and again, great to hear from somebody who's had the career that you've had there, Robert. So, can't thank you enough for taking the time to chat here with us today. You know, from an outside lens, everything that CCM's doing is awesome. From the women's game to all the kind of opportunities, collaborations, and of course, the products are the best in the business. So, thank you very much for the time, Lukas. Anything that you'd add there?
No, yeah, I would just like to say thank you as well. Obviously, as someone who's had an impact in my career journey and continues to this day, I'm super thankful and appreciative that you were able to take the time and spread some of the knowledge that you've given me over the years, because it's really made an impact. And I think just like you said, like not chasing titles and really just being there for the passion of it really takes you a long way, and you're a testament to that. So it's been a pleasure again chatting with you, and we're appreciative that you jumped on with us.
Uh, Thanks for the time, both Nick and Lucas, and it was a pleasure to talk to you today.
Awesome.
Awesome. Well, thanks for listening, guys. Be sure to check out this week's email newsletter, and you'll catch us back here for another episode of the Working in Hockey podcast.